Hey guys, today I'm going to be ranking skills in TPS. Without further ado, let's get started. So, we'll start off with the ZZ because it's pretty well known. I'll start first by explaining the usefulness. It's pretty useful if used right, but a lot of people don't actually use it right. You have to use fakes and dribbling when you're ZZing because otherwise you're just going to get it taken away, or it's just not going to be as useful as it could be. Now, the difficulty goes in hand with the ping. You could do a ZZ with 60 ping, but it's so much better if you do it with 120 or higher. You can do it with 90, but 120 and higher is just easier and better. Um, and that also just explains the ping situation. Then again, 120 or higher, you can also do it with 90 ping, but it's just a bit more tricky that way. But just 120 and higher really makes it better. I give it 3 stars. It's for if you use it the right way when dribbling and faking, but I don't imagine a lot of people actually use it that way, so I'm gonna give it a 3. Secondly, we have the ZZ ground shot. Starting with the usefulness, it's very useful when passing, scoring, and even getting past people. It's very useful. Now with the difficulty. It's a bit harder mainly because most people don't actually know that control also does a ground shot, not just C, which makes this trick and others infinitely better. Just use control. Now we can go to ping. You can do it with lower pings, but it doesn't give you as much power, and it's just a bit harder. So I'd suggest 120 ping so that you just be more precise too, have more power, and use Z shots. Z shots are very OP with this, especially up close. Overall, I'd rate the trick 4 stars. It's a very good trick that is very underrated, and I could recommend that you learn this a lot. Thirdly, we have the pop shot now. It's only really useful for passes. If the goalie has an IQ over 2, it can usually defend most pop shots pretty easily. Now the difficulty, it's not really that hard unless you're on 60 ping or lower because you might accidentally double curve, which always really sucks. But overall, I just rate it 2 because it's nothing to really go crazy for, and I just recommended only using it for passes when a lot of people try to score with it, not knowing that it's very easy to save. Now onto the double dribble. Now this is one of my favorites because it's so useful. This is basically what you use to dribble, and it can ankle almost anyone given a good scenario and how it's executed. And even its difficulty is very easy, and one of, if not the easiest tricks in TPS. And the ping's also great. You can do this with really any ping you want, and overall I'd rate it 4 stars because it's just a really good trick. I think everybody should use it because it's so underrated, and you can really mix it up with any fake you want, ace fake, shift lock fake, anything really. Yeah, use this trick. Now we have the ground ZZ, and it can be useful, but it can also sell the ball. It just matters how good you are at recoveries. So I just went through the middle and rated it with a 3. Now the difficulty is pretty easy. It's a bit easier than a ZZ, but the ping is moderate because you have to use 90 to 120 because most of the time the React just doesn't want to work with you when you're using any lower. It's just not, like, overall, it's just not as good as a basic ZZ because it's stripped of all the risky and good components of a basic ZZ. Uh, it's only very good if you have good recoveries and good IQ. Though if you do have good IQ and good recoveries, it can be very useful. That's why I rated it 3 stars because I mean, if you're good enough, this could be a 4-star skill, but just by itself, it's a 3-star. Almost at the end here, we have the super pop. Now it's very useful, and it's very good for passing. It can also be used for scoring, though 86 rated keepers and higher can usually save it. Now its difficulty just depends whether or not you can click and unclick fast enough. It's something you might have to get used to, but overall I don't think the trick's that hard, and you'll have to learn that anyways because it's just a great thing to learn, just to unclick, they click and unclick very fast, so passing and all that. Um, the ping's very great because you can do it with any ping. The lower pings do make it a bit harder, but overall the ping's pretty nice. I'd rate it 4 stars because it's the number one skill to use when passing, and it's great for that. That's its number one purpose. Lastly, we have the ZZZ. Now, this is the very good trick if used correctly, and a very stupid trick if you're dumb about it. Personally, I would recommend you do not learn this trick because I don't think it's that useful to learn up until you reach at least 89 rated, because there's other places to work, and its difficulty is one of the most difficult things in TPS. Now on the ping, it goes to 120 and above. I don't know if you'd want to do the trick with 90. It makes the trick that much harder. Overall, I'd rate it 3 stars because on one hand, it's very, very useful and can be one of the best tricks in TPS, but on the other hand, it's very difficult and takes high pain to use.